No big intro today, guys, because with the internet being the way that it is, there's a good chance that I'm already looking a little bit weird. And I know the video wouldn't play, the music probably wouldn't sound right. So we're just getting right into it, folks. So, welcome to Grinds Live, a day late, and hopefully not a dollar short. Welcome to everybody in chat. I see Bjorn Jorgensen, Boba Hicks, Will McLaughlin, Gojatron, Masters Maniac, almost said Wrecking Crew, Masters Maniac Mexico. I see Johnny Sorensen, Johnny, and Ian Sweeney so far. Welcome to the show, guys. There's a lot, not our largest news day, but there's some big news in there. So quality and quantity are going to be varying depending upon your point of view. I want to start off by talking about Grizzlor because people have been asking me about Grizzlor. So I want to be completely clear about how I feel about Grizzlor. Grizzlor went up for pre-order this past Friday and Saturday, two different 24-hour periods. You had stuff that was already made and in stock, and then you had to made to order. I was able to get one of the Grizzlors that were in stock, ready to go. I'm very happy about that, as you might guess. Partially because the made-to-order Grizzlor has some addendums, some provisos to it that some people are very unhappy about. I am unhappy about most of it myself. Gojatron can't resist a good joke, but he's right that the Grizzlor situation's a little fuzzy. It's true. It's a hairy situation, as Tony has stated. Probably the best Grizzlor-related joke that I've seen yet. So, and hello, Jason, I see you. So, first, with the made-to-order stuff, they're looking at, summer of next year before you get them. Now, that by itself, on its face, looks really crappy. It's like, dude, you already have the molds. You knew you were going to do this a couple months in advance. It cannot be that difficult to say, hey, factory, go make these. Then again, I've never had to work with a toy factory on the scale that Mattel does. I don't claim to know what kind of timetables they are talking about. So I'll give them some leeway in that regard, but not a lot, because the tooling's done, and I don't understand. I will give them a lot of credit for not having raised the price. Made to order means we don't know what our minimum order is. And although they knew that the figure was going to be popular, there's not necessarily a way to estimate that stuff. That I do have experience with. You don't know how many people are going to order when it goes up. And because there was no limits, it's something where there was no way to predict it. I'll give them that much. And as a result, I thought it was possible that they would raise the price of the product so they could cover their bases if there wasn't a minimum amount ordered. They didn't do that. It's the exact same price. From day one and day two, exactly the same. I know this because I ordered both. I ordered one that's in stock, and I ordered one made to order for the simple fact that I wanted the experience, and I want to make sure I cover somebody for the second one. So the idea being that I get to look at both. And the fact of the matter is that even if it is like next summer, we've seen pre-orders that are over a year in advance, folks. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of them taking the money up front and sitting on it for all that time. That's well-worn territory in multiple avenues, not just ours. I don't like it. But I also do like knowing that it's paid for. It's just going to ship when it ships. So there's advantages and disadvantages to both sides of that. And depending upon who you are, that's how you make the decision on what you're going to purchase. I totally get that. On top of that, I still don't know if international shipping is supported or not for the made to order. I saw some stuff that said it is, and I saw some stuff that said that isn't, and I can't figure out which is true. If they aren't supporting international shipping for these made to order items, I think that's a huge miss and a huge disservice to people, especially for, a character like this that we're not going to see on retail shelves, which at the end of the day, this should always have been a retail release figure. You know it, I know it, but they didn't do it. So I'm glad it was made available. I'm glad that a lot of people were able to get it. but there was a few too many asterisks for my taste, because the terms do say it can take up to a year. I don't think they will. I think that's a piece of legalese to cover their ass, because in the past, with things that were not yet manufactured, they shipped ahead of when they said they would. Koldar being an example. I have mine next to me. He shipped a bit faster than I expected that he would. You know, whereas with other figures that aren't pre-made or what have you, it's going to vary, and it's so inconsistent. It's difficult to speak intelligently on this stuff. So I'm glad it was made available. Of course, I'm glad that I got mine, but I will reserve judgment on the made-to-order stuff until they start shipping, and if I ever get a truly straight answer on international shipping as well. They need to make it more clear. They need to make it a more streamlined thing. And to be frank, when it's something that they have already made, we know for a fact they have the molds of, they should light a fire under their ass and get it out faster. That's my 2 cents on that subject. Take a second to catch up with chat. I see you guys are talking amongst yourselves. I see Keith Knight asked me, Jimmy Omaka. Hey, man, how you doing? I hope you're doing well, man. I really do. Joe DeBecky's here, too. It says, good evening, folks. Let me say for the record, I miss my old Toys R Us. I do, too. I miss your old Toys R Us. I miss everyone's Toys R Us. Be careful, Bill, when you're driving. Be careful. Couldn't resist, brother. Couldn't resist. So let's go ahead and get into the smaller news. We'll go through some pre-orders and we'll talk about the big thing. The thing that you all want to hear me talk about, I'm sure. So first up on the news, I saw this the other day and I was like, what? So they have a Lego Star Wars A New Hope Star Destroyer going up for $650. Now, first of all, that's a gigantic piece of kit, and it looks absolutely amazing. It's not a perfect one-to-one scale, but it's really big. But $650, like, this to me really kind of talks about why I don't bother with Lego. It's too expensive. I remember the days when you can get a Lego set, a big one, for around $20 US. And even with inflation, we're still talking about maybe $100. And $650 for this, back in the day, a Lego set like this, I would guess maybe $150, maybe even $200. That would make sense. I get it. But this is just, I think Lego has become such a kind of, for lack of a better term, it's kind of cultish at this point. Once you're in Lego, you're in Lego. And that's kind of all you collect. For a lot of people, that's the way it is, because it's an investment. And they know they've got you by the ball if you're into it. And it's horrible. And, Jason Garcia says you got to pay for that licensing and all the gray Legos. I do think the licensing is a big part of it, but a lot of the pricing that they have put out is reflected similarly. So, I don't know. It's, Bjorn's saying that has a few thousand pieces in the set. That's great. That's great. But each of those 1,000 pieces cost pennies to make. Pennies. This should not cost this much. And this is why I think part of the reason they have such a high price is because they're having a difficult time getting new adopters in Lego. So people are being priced out and not buying into the stuff. And because people are not buying into the stuff, they're keeping the high prices so they can keep their profit margin high. I think it's what it boils down to. I think if they started to bring these prices down to something that's a bit more reasonable, this is the kind of thing that I would start with on a Lego set. Like, I would love to get something cool like this, the Death Star, something big, big. Would love that. But not at that price. Not at that price. Absolutely not. And I'm not saying all of this to insult my Lego collector friends that are here. I know you love your Lego. I think that you're justified for loving Lego. They're great. I loved Lego. But I don't see any reason to get back into it. I think they have their head firmly between their butt cheeks, personally. Speaking of companies that have their face firmly planted between their buttocks, my beloved Muppets are going the way of Super 7, pending licensor approval anyway. So, Diamond Select put out an amazing set of 7-inch scale, fully articulated, a slew of accessories, just top-notch Muppets figures a couple years ago. Reissued them a year or two ago, about a year ago. I'm happy to say I have the whole set. I don't need these. But Super 7's doing their reaction figures, and this is all they're getting. There's no drum set for Animal. He just has that nice chain and some sticks. Dr. Teeth has a piano. Each of the other characters have their guitar and then saxophone. There's nothing to it. And at the price that reaction figures currently go for, you can still get the Diamond Select figures. So if you're a Muppets enthusiast, I strongly encourage you to snap up the Diamond Select reissues while you can, because if this license does go through at these prices, you're going to get crappy figures that are half the size with barely a quarter of the amount of accessories you're going to get with them, less than half of the articulation. It's these. I hate these. I hate everything about these. I hate them. I hate them. Please don't support this. Please do not support this. And that's all I have to say about these. And to catch up with chat, Bjorn says that those large collector sets are generally just for display. I realize this is nothing new in terms of price point. I don't care. I think it's stupid. I think that if they want people to buy these, they should be a lot more lenient on the price. The existence of previous sets that cost the same or more does not justify continuing that practice, to me. Will has a good point. He says, gotta do Coke to work harder to make more money to buy more Coke, but switch out Coke with Lego. Exactly. It's absolutely insane. And hey, World Made of Cardboard, it's good to see you, John. Good to see you, brother. I don't understand the kind of mentality that makes people price toys this high. It does not make any sense to me at all. No worries, Bill. Be safe out there, okay? Thanks for stopping by, brother. Of course, the secondary market on those prices are insane. They're insanely priced to begin with. So, speaking of things that don't make a ton of sense, but I think is interesting all the same, switching up things a little bit, there's a G.I. Joe coin coming up from the New Zealand Mint. It's a square silver coin. And they're making 1,982 to reflect the year that it was introduced. It's pretty cool. And, you know, now, looking at the prices for their other coins, which are close to $100, this is a $2 coin that they're charging you $100 for. Granted, it's super limited, but it is really cool for what it is. It looks like the first comic book cover, and it's got a cool presentation case and everything. And it's already sold out. I didn't realize that earlier. Apparently, there's almost 2,000 people that really want this. But this exists. I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know. Coins are a thing. But it's interesting in the sense that it's a crossover of comic books, toys, and coins. All things that people collect. You don't often see that kind of a crossover when it comes to collecting things. It looks cool. Like I said, it looks cool. But it's not for me. And I was trying to let people know that it was coming. But apparently you can't get it because it's already sold out, which is absolutely insane to me. Although this was announced almost a month ago. I just caught wind of it the other day. So sorry. He's like, money fly away. Money fly away. Exactly. Sorry about that, gents. Ladies and gents. Speaking of things that were just announced recently, but also things I'll be passing up, is the Masters of the Universe Origins 40th Anniversary 4-pack. This is a cool 4-pack, but it's also $50 too expensive. Comes with this really cool TV collector's case. If they ever release that artwork on a poster, I'd buy it. It comes with a regular old He-Man from the Origins line with a different head that looks more Filmation than usual. Otherwise, it's pretty much identical. You've got the New Adventures of He-Man, which is a lot of new stuff on him. You've got the 2000X He-Man, which has already been released at retail, but now he's got a vac metallized weapon and shield. Ooh. And then you have the current 3D cartoon CGI He-Man in Origin scale. Well, these are cool. Now, here's the thing. Is it worth the price to get an alternate head in the Filmation He-Man, a fully new figure in New Adventures, vac metallized parts for the 2000X He-Man, and a completely new figure in the animated? I don't think so. I don't think that's worth the money. I think that $100 for the set would have been a much more reasonable price, even $110 maybe, because the box, I've seen the box on videos. It is pretty nice. And I hate paying money for collector's boxes, but when they're that displayable, I kind of understand to a certain degree. I like that they had the effort to card everything. From what I understand, these are specifically designed. You can take the card off and put it back and stuff like that. But $150 is asking too much, especially when shipping is extra. If shipping were included at $150 and it was international, sure, maybe. But this is not for me, and I have a feeling it's not for most of you. But they're true to their word. You know, this is how much they said it would cost. This is not news. They said this is how much this would be. And they're giving people some fairly ample time to ramp up. They're giving them a week. You know, it's at the end. Actually, no, a couple days. So it's going up on Thursday. So they're giving you 3 days notice to come with $150 if you want this. However, because of the fact that it was announced, you know, at San Diego, and they told you what the price was going to be, if you wanted to put aside the money, you should already do that. But yeah, too much money, man. Too much money. Even Daniel says $150 is too much. And Gojatron says, He-Man in the multiverse of Mattel Creations madness. Johnny Sorensen says, Filmation Skeletor or go home. See, that's the thing, is that package could easily have contained, like, for Filmation, it could have just been the Filmation He-Man. Then you just included the head for Skeletor, and it would have been great. Ian does say that the coin's available on eBay if anyone's desperate for it. I'm sure it's going to be insanely expensive, but I'm glad that it's out there. Ben Stutley's here, says, hey, late as usual, hope all is well. Everything is pretty well, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. But again, that's something that is just not for me. Now, before we get into our big news, I want to go through some other pre-order stuff for you. Here's something. Avatar, the sequel, is 13 years late coming out. And now we're getting some essentially reissues of Avatar toys that came out at the time in like 2 or 3 different scales. So like this Sute and the Dire Horse, that's a 4-inch scale, as is this one. This little play set is at a smaller, like a 2.5-inch scale, apparently. And then you have the figures that are in the 6-inch scale, another 4-inch scale, 4-inch scale, 4-inch scale, 4-inch scale, 6-inch scale, 4-inch scale. No, that's 2.5-inch scale, 2.5-inch scale, 2.5-inch scale, 6-inch scale. No, that's 3.25. And so on. And you'll notice all the 6-inch scale beasts sold out immediately, which, as you'd imagine, you can still get them on Amazon, and they're interesting, but just like Will is saying, it's a pass. I agree. It's like, what? And these cost a hell of a lot for what they are. They're just represses of old toys. It seems like a lazy move. Some of the paint deco is off. The detail's not that great. But if you're really into Avatar, these exist. Eagle Force has a whole big friggin' wave of figures coming out. As usual, they're doing some really cool stuff with accessories and whatnot. Certainly there's shades of Shield in here and a bunch of other figures and stuff like that. I'm not going to go into each and every figure, but they're basically charging $25 a figure for 10 figures. That's where you get your 250. These are 4-inch figures. They're highly detailed. The paint deco looks great, and the accessories are really over the top. I do think that for the money, you're getting a lot in terms of quality. But you have to be into this line and into this scale to appreciate it, in my opinion. It's just a whole thing. So I agree with Johnny. Ian, don't watch Avatar. It's basically, if you ever seen Dances with Wolves, it's that with aliens and Marines added in for good measure. It's not nearly as cool as it sounds. It's just Dances with Wolves with 10-foot tall Smurfs. That's all it is. But it's, when you look at these, again, we're looking at a scale thing. Even though you've got a pretty good approximation for Freddie Mercury up here, no, I'm not a big fan of this scale, so it's a pass for me. But they're doing amazing stuff. They're doing amazing stuff with this scale, and Eagle Force overall they're really investing in the line. It's a whole thing. Don't worry, Will, you're safe. They also have Nacelle putting out these comedy figures. We talked about this before, but they're available on Big Bad now. I pre-ordered one of these Bill Hickses because I'm a huge Bill Hicks fan. They've also got Joan Rivers and Lenny Bruce as well. So if you're a big fan of comedy, hey, it might be worth it to you. These are the kind of things you never see people making figures of, and the detail's pretty nice. So if you're into it, I say go for it. Not a thing to lose. You got exchangeable heads, exchangeable hands. You got a microphone with them, and a backdrop. It's pretty cool stuff. I'm definitely into this stuff. For those that collect Transformers, looks like I don't know if this is a reissue or if this is just them getting new stock in from Hasbro on this 86 Studio Series Perceptor. But, it's a good Transformer, looks the part, does the thing. I just like bringing up stuff that people may not know. So if you missed out on Perceptor and you want one, he's coming back. Gojatron has a very good point. He says, for all the faces that Joan Rivers had, they couldn't get one that looked like her. I agree. What scale are the comedians? They are 6-inch scale. 6-inch scale. So not your favorite scale. Sorry, buddy. Yeah, I think it is new stock. But again, if you missed out on him and you want one, like myself, Will says it'd be cool to do a bar comedy club diorama. I'm thinking the same thing, basically, with that. So I'm not a NECA guy, but I saw this and I wanted to use part of today's show to check out this Ultimate. Now, this Ultimate Freddy Krueger, he's clearly modeled after the first film. You can tell by the way his hat is. See how his hat's a bit more mushed on top and the brim is a bit smaller? Plus, the effects that he has are direct out of the first film. So this is clearly meant to be an ultimate of the first film. There's some other effects that he comes with from other films as well, but it is definitely meant to be an homage to the first film, just based upon what you see here. Price on them's not horrible for what you get, but it is NECA, so take it with a grain of salt. But as always, the sculpt is great. He's there. And if you're into him, grab him. From the same line, we've got a Candyman with soft goods. Gotta love soft goods, right? For his coat. Not a lot going on here otherwise, but then there's not a lot going on with Candyman aesthetically to begin with. He's got the exchangeable chest and exchangeable face with all the bees and everything. It's cool. It's NECA. You know. You know. What's shaking, Perceptor, other than this fortress? Blaster, save yourself! No way. Two can play. I love how his line got cut off. I always hated how his line got cut off there. But I like Candyman. Now, I'm a big Tom and Jerry guy. Really big Tom and Jerry fan. More than most probably know. And I would love to have some cool Tom and Jerry toys. But look at this. It's just a fluffy square box. It's supposed to represent Tom and Jerry. I mean, who is this for? Who is this for? And there's a Jerry. I know that there's like one or two cartoons where they swallow something of that shape and then they come out looking like this shape. But are you kidding me right now? Like, really? This is what we're going to sell. And for almost $30 each. For something that's 2.5 inches tall. Who in the hell thought this was a good idea? And Johnny says that they had nice $10 PVC figures when the last Tom and Jerry movie was out. Never found one in stores. So they said they were selling them, but were they really? Were they really, though? So this is, I don't understand. I don't get this. But on the other hand, you have JT Studio putting out a Felix the Cat that's all updated and modern and frankly pretty badass looking. But he's $450. He's 6th scale. That's a pretty freaking big Felix the Cat. That price tag's a lot bigger. All I'm saying, somewhere between the polygon Tom and, fuzzy polygon Tom and Jerry and this $440 Felix the Cat, somewhere in the middle is where the truth actually lies, kids. All of them were overpriced. Keith Knight says, I have a huge Sylvester the Cat that I bought from a defunct fairground ride. Stands in your garden. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. For my Diaclone fans, this is pretty crazy. And if you're into it, the price might not be that bad when you see what you get. This is a 20-inch vehicle. And it's got three different views here. You got the front, the rear, the side. But he transforms. These are legs, bro. These are legs. I think this is half of an overall thing. And you got these tiny... This reminds me of like air raiders and stuff. You got the vehicles that detach. Like, this is very cool. Just very cool. Again, I don't think it's $480 cool, but if you're a fan, this is like the centerpiece of your shit. This is something else. This is just nuts. It's just bonkers. It's bonkers. But Will brings up a very important point. That's 351.3 Final Faction figures. You have to ask yourself, you want a troop build? You want that? And there are Diaclone fans out there that would want that. Speaking of, Johnny says, I wish I could afford modern Diaclone. They're all modular and compatible with every release in the line, which is a cool feature to be sure. Very cool feature to be sure. Speaking of things that look great but are overpriced, we've got this Rocky Balboa 6th scale figure for $270 US. It looks like him from that particular film. Looks really, really, really good. It has some amazing accessories. It's a great looking figure. But why they think for a 12-inch figure, they can charge almost $300. I'll never understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. I love how he looks. If he was a third of the price, I'd consider it. For a third of the price, I'd consider it. Which would still be a lot. What is it? But I don't know much about toy manufacturing. I'm thinking it might be a bit overpriced, Mick. It might be a little overpriced, but it's cool. I got excited when I saw this. It's a Manzinger Z Grand Action Big Size Model Garada K7. Great looking villain piece. $350. And he's 10 inches? 10 by 18 inches? It's a big boy. That's a lot of money. He said, that's small statue money. Doesn't even come with a robot. That's fair. And he's got all these cool features and stuff. Like, the reason the Manzinger line does not get more adopters in it is because of the price point. And they don't have anything else to attach it to other than the old cartoons. And there are some anime updates and stuff like that. But I cannot understand. Why you would charge this much for something like this. I don't understand that. I understand imports are expensive. Believe me, you guys know I understand that. But it's just wild. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. Getting slightly more affordable and interesting for some folks would be this Art of DuckTales Deluxe Edition book. The regular edition is like $50. But it comes with a coin and it's hardcover. It's got a box and all these things. If you're a big DuckTales fan, like my buddy Aaron is, this is something you're going to buy. I guarantee you he's buying this. I sent him the link. I haven't heard anything back. He might still be unconscious from it, to be honest. But it's a 200-page book. It's cool. If you're into it, it's a thing. Nab it. Speaking of books, we got a Genesis Trilogy Anniversary Special book, 128 pages, hardcover. Talks about Wrath of Khan, Search of Spock, and Voyage Home. And it's just great. I know Michael Schaefer will snap this up, and for the price, you can't beat it. $20. $20 for a hardcover book about some beloved films. Get you one. I think this we're brought back to sanity at the end of this list, guys. Definitely a whole thing. So it's nuts that it takes, a book to bring things back into perspective. But speaking of things that might bring things back into perspective, I bring you to our top news story for tonight. Toys R Us is coming back. And not just as a department in Macy's. They announced recently that they are bringing back full-blown Toys R Us stores in several locations this month and next month in several states, including Texas. There's going to be one in Houston before you know it. And that's 4 hours away from me. So that's not impossible. Might grab some of the boys and all head down there together and do some stuff. But they got one in Atlanta, Chicago, Honolulu, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and San Francisco. Plus a bunch more California ones that they have in a press announcement I'm going to show you guys now. So these here, so they had a bunch of them from 1,000 square feet up to 10,000 square feet. That's a decent size. So they're talking about like boutique size stores like a GameStop, all the way up to darn near full-blown department store size. So they've got a bunch of different ones there. And it's still under the Macy's umbrella, but if they get them bigger, it makes more sense. They can, have people dedicated to toy stock. But again, it's It's just a matter of how they're doing it. And Will makes a good point that the Macy's stores were disappointing. And he's going to check out the one in Miami. Oklahoma is not yet one, Bjorn. It's not the. It's going to be a while before you can say that your Toys R Us has all the cool shit that I like. It'll be a while before you can say that. But it's promising. And I will say this. I will take a shitty Toys R Us over no Toys R Us. Because at least that's something to build upon. You know, they're Macy's, for crying out loud. Hi, Rolando. So I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be the answer or not. The fact that they're going to try to do this tells me that they want to see where they can go. It does seem very, very kid focused, which is not a bad thing. But in the Macy's, you'll see, you'll see like a couple Marvel Legends, some Star Wars stuff, things like that. But again, that's a corner of a larger store. So even if it's just 1,000 square feet boutique size store, and all it is toys, by definition, to get as many people through the door as possible, they're probably going to try really hard to get as wide a range of toys in there as they can. And it's just a question of how well they think it through. It remains to be seen. I would love nothing more than to walk into a Toys R Us of old. There's a possibility we'll get those. I have a feeling that the Toys R Us we would eventually get here in DFW would be one of the big ones. And I'll tell you this much, I would make it, a twice a month thing to head out there and get anything I'm looking for there, if I can. If for no other reason than to support the endeavor. Because we need larger chain toy stores. And it's a whole thing. So I hope that it does well. I hope that people patronize it. I hope that they see the validity of it. Ian Sweeney says, and they'll probably still have a Power of the Force section. You're not wrong. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. Although you can keep the fucking giraffe the fuck away from me because he's creepy. He was always creepy, man. But I remember, like, back in the day, like, seeing that at Toys R Us, they were going to have, like, He-Man and Skeletor and Superman and Batman and Jeffrey and all Spider-Man and stuff. And I remember going to the store to see it, and they were just lined up out front, and they're just waving at you. And you were kind of discouraged from going up and talking to them. It's a very weird affair, to say the least. It's kind of interesting to me. Hey, Nolan, good to see you, pal. Now, I don't have any illusion or delusions to the possibility of Toys R Us fully being realized as the Toys R Us that we remember. But if we get somewhere between, like somewhere smack in the middle between what we remember and what we currently have with it being a department of Macy's, I think that won't be horrible. I think that'll be good. It'll be fun. And if they do well, other new toy stores might start to crop up. The reason that Target and Walmart have such a stranglehold on the toy market is because they're all there is. Them and GameStop. And GameStop does not seem to be smart enough to transition into larger stores that have both toys and games. They seem content to be boutique stores that have horrible stock options and just, I don't know what they're thinking. They have a great opportunity with what they're doing, and I think they're going to squander it like they do with everything else in their business model, personally. But maybe this whole Toys R Us expansion thing might light a fire under GameStop's ass to rebrand as a toys and game store and be more specific about that. Who knows? Anything's possible. I see Largo here. Largo. Jim Largo comes in the chat a little bit late, but he's still very welcome because everyone loves him. You can't stop me, He-Man. I'm sorry. I was trying to make it into a He-Man commercial, and I screwed it up. Sorry. Ian Sweeney says that Toys R Us will be sponsored by Hasbro and admittance will be by a Pulse membership lottery. Bite your tongue, mate. Bite your tongue. I hope not. Shit. Really hope not. But when I heard about this, I was like, all right, cool. Toys R Us coming back. And I took Toys R Us very much for granted when I was younger. Very much for granted. And I am not going to do that again if we get them back, in a way that I can shop for myself there. Oh, you broke your glasses? That sucks, dude. I'm sorry. Sorry you're having a bad day, pal. I hope that you can get some glasses with a relative quickness, but as we all know in Guatemala, that's probably not going to happen. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this has potential, or is this more of a cynical move just for them to be able to say, look, we made Toys R Us stores. See, huh? See. But if you look at the base of what corporate America is and corporate retail, they want to make money. I don't think they're opening these stores for them to fail, although I can see people doing that. But I don't see spending that much money to prove that toy stores are going to fail. I think that they're trying to be smart about it. But what I think they need to be smart about is the fact it needs to appeal to both kids and adults, so that not everything they have is just for kids. We'll see. It remains to be seen. And when you have dedicated store managers just for toys, maybe it'll be different. And Will says, I'll say, if done and successful, it would be great, but if it fails, it would be another nail in the coffin for toys. I agree. I didn't be willing to say it. The Epic Badger is here. I don't have a puppet to say hello with, but hello. Joe DeBecki says, here, supporting Toys R Us. The world's been darker since they left the U.S., or at least toy collecting. I agree. I like the idea of going into a place that's just all about joy and buying my, dark brooding toys. I have no problem with that. I really, really hope that they are smart about this, but there's no evidence to point to it other than the fact that they're just doing this. So I have a feeling that they're making this move because they have the toy departments in the Macy's and they're seeing those do well. And they're trying to revive a brand that they know, if they do it right, is going to make them a lot of money. I will say this much. I will go to a Toys R Us for an exclusive much more likely than I would a Walmart or a Target, because that's coming. I'm not suggesting they should do that, but it is coming. And the day that we have a Toys R Us exclusive toy, on one hand, it's like, shit, these are a lot harder to come by than a Walmart or a Target. So that's bad. But it would still be kind of like, at least it's going to a toy store, for Christ's sake. We'll see. We'll see. Keith Knight says, we have Smiths here in the UK, but you missed Toys R Us. They were infinitely better. I think we all missed that. Will says, scalpers are licking their lips and rubbing their hands together, getting ready to buy up all that stock. You're not wrong. I'm not saying this to say it's going to solve all of our problems. Absolutely not. But having another retail destination for toys to end up in, and have it be a place where toys are the only real focus, that can only be a good thing in terms of it showing people there's an option. I just hope that people have a good shopping experience there. I hope that it lives up to the name on some level, and we just have to wait and see what happens. I wish that I had more information to share on that front. I want more information, and that I would give you that information. So we're kind of at the point of the show. We've gone through the news. You guys can bring up any piece of news that we've talked about. You can ask me questions about anything you want, about any of the stuff we've talked about, how your day's been going, whatever. That's kind of where we're at in the show. With the internet being as screwy as it is, I realize the picture's been kind of screwy on your guys' end. So I really thank you guys for hanging out and being here, even throughout all of that. So I definitely want to stick around with any Q&A you might have. And thank you for coming a day late. I'm glad that we were able to at least get the show done, because yesterday that wasn't going to happen. because I couldn't even connect to StreamYard at one point. And I was like, and my connection is horrible right now, so I know that I look like a pixelated mess. But we're here, and I'm doing okay. So, Will McLaughlin is talking about Jim Largo's glasses, saying, Jim, I had my glasses on my head, went to get them in my car, and my head butted the door jamb, cracking them. Ugh, putting a dent in my head. Has now become a lump like in the cartoons. I've been there. I've done that. But those are reading glasses that were $1. And Badger says, the picture screw, I thought that was the alcohols. No, unless you're drinking, which I don't think you do. I don't think you do. But, you'll have that, right? You'll have that. Video gaming news, I mean, there was some, like a Nintendo Direct came out today, and by all accounts it was meh. And I agree, it was meh. There was not a whole lot to it. Although those of you that played GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 might have some fun because it is coming to their online service and it will be playable online. So you'll play GoldenEye online for the first time. So I'm actually kind of excited about that, to be honest. And because I already have their service, I'll automatically have that game available to me. So I'm kind of cool with that. Keith Knight says, I went out to visit the Halloween shop, a pop-up store in a local mall. 300 pounds later, but you did get the James Bond Aston Martin. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yes, it is going to be on Game Pass, Bjorn, but online play is only for the Switch. You don't get the online play on Game Pass. So it's a weird kind of Nintendo exclusive kind of a thing. I'm excited. Ben Stetley says, couldn't crash the Resurrection streams over the weekend. Hope the project's going to plan. Rolo doing well. Rolo's doing relatively well. He had a rough weekend, but he's all right. And as far as how things are going, it looks like there's going to be, as anticipated, a couple days delay on finalizing a few of the figures. That I kind of figured that would happen. It certainly is always a possibility. That's why we said we had a target of being ready for Friday. We're behind because of the factory, but that's all right. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. We'll get there, but this is what happens when you hand paint toys. We're getting there. I will say that because of the fact we're getting so many of the orders ready to go for this week, the orders that have come since, which admittedly there's less of them than the first wave, it should be a lot easier to get those out for next week, end of next week, depending upon how many we get this week. So this first wave, which is a lot more orders than, what's come since, it's going to take a little bit longer, but that's okay. When it comes to shipping, I do want to just talk briefly about the fact that we did run into some other shipping problems from our first shipment from the auction. A lot of those packages ended up getting returned. Everything's okay. But anyone who hasn't already gotten their packages, we have them. We're going to get them shipped back out as quickly as we can. I think they befell a customs issue similar to the one that we saw with other folks. We thought we'd taken care of it, but I'm only guessing here because we're still waiting on an investigation, but I would venture a guess that the customs problems that we ran into on the two that got through befell all of them because of just the way it was filed. And we just didn't get notified in time, which is stupid. So we're going to find out for sure. And if that's the case, it should be just a matter of sending them back out. We're working on that. So if you haven't gotten your stuff from the auction yet, that's why we're going to get it out to you as quickly as we can. Purely a customs problem. So I just want to say thanks, U.S. Customs, for screwing over our friends. Now, when it comes to, what's happening with the toys we're sending out, from Resurrection Toys, we're not going to have that problem from the get-go because we're going to have things lined up from the start. So this is just a matter of there being a massive delay on some packages that were completely unrelated to Resurrection Toys. But it does relate well to what potentially could happen if we didn't have our ducks in a row. Those ducks are definitely in a row. We've got some great people working with us that are shipping partners, But I wanted to be transparent about that. Rolo's currently working on that. We want to make sure that's all taken care of and make sure everyone gets everything as quickly as possible. Ian Sweeney says, I might have taken a Power of the Force crack earlier, but I must admit I really like the line, some excellent figures beyond the early Hulkamaniac iterations. I agree. That's why for my Star Wars stuff, I'm focusing on that. Keep on Collecting is here. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. And hello. Well, McLaughlin says, customs agents were very likely playing with my toys for a while before packing them back up and sending them to me. I wouldn't doubt it. And they're durable, as you have seen, so they can handle it. So it's, it's very frustrating. It was frustrating to hear that occurred. What is the most frustrating about it for me is that the notification of what happened took so long to get back to us, and that by the time we heard about it, the packages were already on the way back. And I think that falls more on the customs process than anything else, and not really having known in the first place how to manage that. So this is a valuable learning experience, to say the least. But we're taking care of it. We'll make sure everyone gets everything they're supposed to get and make sure everything's fine. You know, those of you that are here in chat, for the most part, know me well enough to know that it may take a while, but it'll get done. It will get done. So, Gojatron's saying, can you blame them with the Hulk that you saw? And he is a pretty great Hulk, that's for sure. And Johnny's like, these custom agents are running wild like Hulkamania. And Will says that they're well worth the wait. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. It was very awesome to see you with those. You seemed so happy, and I was so happy to see it. I was just watching and enjoying. I did watch the whole stream, even though I wasn't very talkative, for internet reasons mainly. But this is such uncharted territory. Exporting Mexican toys internationally, you just don't see it, at all. So everything we do is a learning experience, and we're trying to be as forthcoming with information as we possibly can be. So there's that fine line between telling people exactly what's happening and causing panic unnecessarily. So I don't think this will have any lasting effect on our ability to serve our customers, but it is a pain in the ass, to say the least. No one says, I'm sure we all remember the old days of waiting 6 to 8 weeks, for like mail away toys and stuff. You bet. And that's what we're trying very hard to keep from having happen. But there's going to be some delays. There's only so much of a guarantee that we can make when it comes to once it's left our possession on how long it'll take, because customs have to do what customs does, as Bjorn said earlier. And so we're going to, again, just be open about it and work with our partners to make sure people get what they're supposed to. Go to Tron with a good point. I don't even remember what I bought from the auction except for the devil that Rolo talked me into. You bought some cool stuff. You bought some really cool stuff, but I'm not going to tell you because I want you to be surprised. Plus, there's extra stuff in there anyway, so that's for sure. John Largo says, all my latest pickups are in limbo somewhere between Miami and Guatemala City, fracking customs. So he deals with this all the time. So he knows better than most what this kind of thing goes through. So, but it's, And Bjorn says, what you gonna do when customs mania runs wild on you, brother? Epic Badger, with a very sensible and true answer, says, nothing. When Customs Border Patrol tells you to do something, you do nothing but follow their instructions. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Appreciate you knowing. So that's why it's no worries. It's all good. See, I knew you guys would say that. Ian Sweetie said, I had a retro collection Death Trooper arrive today. It's a lovely looking figure close up. Yay! I like it when new figures arrive and they're nice. And Rolo backing me up, saying that I am right, which is thankfully usually true. He said, I'll figure it out. This first time in his life. He had to do something like this, but he'll figure it out. Say my word, all will come. Promise that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. We know you're working hard, because you're always working hard. Always. The guy knows no limits until he's forced to lay down, kind of a thing. So we know you're working hard, dude. We know. Everyone here knows how you are. And if you don't know, guess what? This guy works harder than anyone I've ever met in my life. So I know he's going to make it right. So it's not a thing. No worries. Because he's lurking because he's working on the boxes for the collector's pieces. Yes, he is. And working on the boxes to get shipped back. So he's doing like a bunch of things. A whole bunch of things. Ooh, Badger says his work is dealing with Customs Border Patrol every day. Documentation, mistakes, secondary inspection, proper visa validation, lots and lots of fun. Interesting. And people are saying that we love Rollo, which we do, and appreciate him. Absolutely. He's the best. The best. So we covered the news. We covered a lot of pre-orders. Covered a lot of Resurrection Toys kind of stuff. Go to Tron asked if the Epic Badger puppet deals with him. I would say probably not. Probably not. Johnny Sorensen says, "Oh, the Macho Man's gonna take those toys and grind them into dust with his hands and feed them to you." Oh yeah. I hope that was a good approximation. I haven't done that impression in a long time. I can just imagine Jesse, don't make me get my badger, sir. Okay? Don't make me get the badger, sir. So, Jim Largo with a Star Trek quote says, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Been watching way too much Star Trek lately." Sir, I watched Star Trek 1 through 5 on Sunday. 1 through 5. It's a true story. In a row. And I'll probably get to 6 tonight, since I have some time, probably. Epic Badger says, Customs and Border Protection. Border Patrol is a subset. I know. I don't want to have to work with Border Patrol, except for one time when that Jose called me from Texas. Fair enough. Zazel from Slaughterhouse. The lyrics didn't work out. I'm sorry. What's up, mate? It's good to see you, brother. Live long and prosper. The Badger does have final approval on all applications. It's a true story. Keep on Collecting says it was an excellent impersonation. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. For fuck's sake, I can't type your name. Hello. So, with just a few minutes winding down here, I'll open up Q&A to anything you want, anything at all. I'll answer 3 questions. Except for that one question or anything related to a certain thing that shall not be named that I never answer questions about. Looking at you, Oklahoma. Other than that, oh, you're also watching Star Trek 6? Right on. Nice. Yeah, I watched that one quite a bit, so I might actually skip it and just go into something else altogether. I don't know yet. I don't even know if I'm going to get a chance because I got some other stuff I got to do. Rollman at Cardboard asked if I can fix traffic in DFW. Actually, I have a great idea on how to fix traffic in DFW. It's to find a way to increase funding for incentivizing remote work. That's what I say. More remote work means less cars on the road. Epic Badger asks if Resurrection Toys will have vehicles. We've talked about it, but like with Never-Ending Story, why I always say Never-Ending Toys, but Never-Ending Story technically has vehicles, like with Falcor and stuff like that. So we'll have like vehicle class animals, kind of a thing. Never say never, but I do think there's going to be a lot more mounts than actual like mechanical vehicles. So yes and no. I'd love to do stuff like that when we have toy lines that are applicable, but depending on what you want, we'll figure out a way to do something. Absolutely. So that's 2 questions. And I realize it was an Action Force Valaverse joke. I get that. But I legitimately want to make vehicles when we can. The Xenozilla Choppa. Get to the Xenozilla Choppa! Dude, if I could find a way to make that work, I would do it. That would be great. Like a helicopter made out of like xenomorph parts. I'd kind of love that, to be honest with you. But I'm just trying to read comments, make sure I don't miss any questions. Let me double check. No, I think we're good. All right. So we're going to go once, and we're going to go twice, and I'll give it another couple puffs, and then we'll call it sold, guys. But as always, like I really appreciate you guys always showing up for these things. Oh, here's a question. So, sort of. Need a glam rock accessories pack for Xenozilla with a guitar, spiky bits, and a cape. All of that is literally possible. Like it is. Because we have someone on staff that does soft goods and guitars and like spikes and stuff like that. Like we could do that. It's possible. Won't be a priority, but it's certainly possible. If you really want to glam out your Xenozilla, we could probably accommodate. So there you go. It depends upon the rainfall for that year, Bjorn. So I gave you 4 questions, 3 plus a bonus question. And with that, folks, thank you for everything. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for just being who you are. I look forward to these shows every week, and it really pissed me off when I couldn't do it yesterday. So thank you for showing up to this one tonight. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday at the latest. I'm sure we'll have Resurrection Toys official stuff to say at some point over the weekend. Please hit the like button on your way out. It really helps the channel. If you haven't yet subscribed to the Resurrection Toys YouTube channel, you can get there by going to resurrectiontoys.com/YouTube. It'll redirect you right to the YouTube. Please consider giving us a subscribe over there, because I won't be streaming Resurrection Toys stuff on this channel forever. I want to keep it compartmentalized. I appreciate your respect with that. And the like button does not require 2-factor verification. However, you can have that on your Resurrection Toys account if you want it, at no charge whatsoever. And we want to keep things secure for everybody. With all that said, I wish you a great week. I love you very much, and we'll talk as soon as humanly possible. Good night, folks, and thank you for everything.